Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we're checking out a soon-to-be released PlayStation VR2 game that has absolutely blown me away, and I'm throwing out my standard review format for something you guys hopefully find much more entertaining. I'll of course still avoid spoilers and give you all the details you need to know, but from now on, I'll focus a lot more on what makes or breaks a specific game. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by VR Rock. VR Rock makes prescription lens inserts for all of your favorite VR headsets, and now they have them for the PlayStation VR2. So if you've been struggling to get your eyeglasses to fit inside the headset, or you're afraid you might scratch the lens, these can be a great option. They magnetically connect, so they're easy to put on and take right back off. And if you're interested, I have a 10% discount code down in the description and a link to their webpage. Okay, so if you haven't already figured out what game I'm talking about, it's Synapse from nDreams, the studio that's already given us other excellent titles like Fract and Phantom Covert Ops. If you've already seen my previous footage on the Synapse demo, you might be pressing X to doubt that this is the best PlayStation VR2 game. So there are two major caveats to that whole best thing. Firstly, the best of anything is highly subjective. And secondly, even if this isn't the best overall PlayStation VR2 game, it still has the best VR gameplay, and it absolutely highlights what makes VR gaming just so special. So let's focus in on what actually makes that gameplay so good. After playing the demo, I was definitely intrigued, but I needed to see a lot more. The beginning gunplay feels very reminiscent of nDreams' other title Fract, but it's actually a bit more bland here. Luckily though, you quickly start unlocking powers, which dramatically alter how the game plays. Before long, you'll feel like a badass Sith Lord, force pushing enemies off a cliff, and menacingly holding them out in front of you before you deliver the killing blow. These new abilities feel so powerful that you'll start neglecting your guns. That is, of course, until you unlock a few more weapons, plus the ability to dual wield. You'll go right back to being trigger happy in no time, and eventually you'll seamlessly blend your gunplay with your telekinetic abilities. Without those abilities though, the game's action starts out quite slow, and a single zone could take you 10 plus minutes to clear. Now on the other hand, when you're fully powered up, you could take out 50 enemies in under 2 minutes. The game turns into an exhilarating series of mechanics that, when combined with the other roguelike attributes, including random temporary perks and procedural generation, every single run of this game will be exciting. But the main aspect that really sells this title is how the game feels to play. This is a truly significant aspect of VR games because they feature a lot more physical interaction. Flicking your wrist to send an enemy flying, or force stopping a grenade midair just never gets old. So let's take a look into these powers that you'll be unlocking over time. You start the game very humbly with a simple pistol and minor telekinetic powers. Basically, you can move boxes and explode some barrels. You could also grab onto and climb objects to play this like a cover shooter. You'll be given a large array of tasks to complete, which all pretty much come down to killing in style, and then you'll be rewarded with points for the game's 3 main skill trees. You can eventually unlock everything, so just go ahead and choose whatever sounds cool. Before you know it, you'll unlock 4 different weapon types, the ability to launch enemies on a whim, and your health pool will be much larger. You'll definitely need all of these skills to make it through the game's 7 conscious zones, and finally into the subconscious that is guarded like a fortress. Hopefully on your way to the subconscious, you'll pick up some really cool random perks like heat-seeking bullets, super senses, or the ability to slingshot objects and enemies across the battleground. No matter what perks you find, you're in for an absolutely fantastic experience every time you jump in. But with that said, no game is perfect, and here are some of my biggest gripes. While Synapse does provide plenty of content and replayability, it's still begging for more. More enemy types, more weapons, more powers, and more of that Inception-style storyline. As it stands, it's an absolutely phenomenal foundation of a game, and more than we typically get in VR, and I'm just dying to experience more of this world, and I'm okay if it comes in the form of paid DLC. To give you an example of the gameplay length and replay value, it's very similar to something like Until You Fall. So even after you beat the game, there are still reasons to come back to it. It's a good bang for your buck, but I was still left longing for more. The 4 different enemy types will keep you on your toes, but it's always cool every time they introduce a new enemy, and I wanted to see more of that. The same goes for weapons. A pistol, shotgun, SMG, and grenade launcher are all very basic. This sci-fi world is begging for something truly unique. Since the game takes place inside of someone's mind, let's get a bit more trippy with the weaponry and dimensions. I want to see areas where things are floating upside down, and allow me to propose a little weapon I call the Mind Flayer. Let's have a gun that literally peels the skin off your enemies and bores its way down into their brain. That feels on brand for this game, so would something like a little bit of Force Lightning. And Dreams, go ahead and feel free to steal both of those ideas. I just want my name in the credits. Now on the same note, I wanted to see a lot more done with the game's Inception style storyline. While you will receive some narration from time to time, it feels a lot more like background lore rather than a compelling tale. I would have loved to have seen the storyline drawn out a lot more, but I completely understand that VR games have limited budgets, and adding a storyline or cutscenes is definitely not the biggest bang for your buck. Now let's go ahead and cut to the chase with my overall verdict and review score. Synapse is a fantastic roguelike shooter with excellent gameplay mechanics that truly know how to make VR shine. The gameplay loop is addictive, and there's plenty of other elements to enjoy, from the excellent and uniquely stylized graphics to that Inception style storyline. Synapse scores an 8.6, and I highly recommend it to any PlayStation VR2 owners looking for some fast-paced action. The pros include excellent fast-paced combat, brilliant graphics, and an intriguing world. On the con side, I would have loved to see Dreams lean more into this sci-fi world and add some more unique components. Okay, so that right there was my new, less formal review format. I truly hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments, or just leave me any other feedback you might have. And here's one more minute of kick-ass combat before I say goodbye.
What the? The unclean have me! I am the enemy of compromise. No! That's not possible! He got me! Come back! Cannot run! Redouble unclean shall not take this blood. Ours deserves no Stop them! Purity is compromised. Purity is compromised. 10 enemies remaining.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider
Consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.